Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Bandsaw. Still more problems with the bandsaw. But I think I know what the problem was. I'll show you. Well, the problem with the bandsaw is this little switch broke off. And the reason it broke off is this slipped out of my fingers. Now, this little tab here is supposed to go down and just touch that switch and shut it off. Now, because this depth stop is just a little bent piece of steel, it gives. And when it gives, it lets it go down too far. And that snapped that switch handle right off. So I'm going to have to reinforce that so it doesn't bounce. Because bouncing is going to break that switch again as soon as I drop it again. Which, you know, that looks like the original switch. It probably hasn't broken in 34 years since it was made. In the 34 years since it was made, that switch has not been snapped but once. And that was because I dropped the head on the bandsaw. So if I don't drop the head, chances are it'll never break again. But you know how those things are. Murphy lives on my shoulder, so I'm going to just go ahead and reinforce that depth stop so that it can't come down and snap that switch off. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I have to now change that switch. Now, having the switch break is kind of a blessing in disguise. No good deed goes unpunished. The wiring on this switch is somewhat sketchy. They just broke the hot lead, which is fine, except they didn't insulate anything. And there's no box for the switch to be in. So if you plug it in and stick your hand up and underneath there, you're going to catch a poke. That's never a good thing. The new switch cost me $5 of good old US American money. So I'm going to have to work extra hard and make more videos just to pay off the additional expense because I bumble fingered it. Get out of the way of the light. Okay, loosen that screw up. At least it's got nice ends on the wires. To make it so that I don't have a problem twice, I'm going to put some insulation on that thing. So I can cover up those terminals, and then I'll take a little bit of tape and wrap around it. One. There's two. I like heat shrink tubing. Great stuff. Good invention. Slide it down over the wires. Nice and snug. Now we'll slip that insulator up over that wire. This is going to do two things for us. One, it's going to insulate the terminal, although it won't do an adequate job to prevent you from getting a poke if you reach up in there. But it is going to give it some additional protection. Also, it's going to lock that screw on there. Once I tighten this up, that shrink tubing will hold that screw in place and it won't come loose on me. At least that's the theory. There we go. Took a little bit of jockeying to get it to go. Now I take the heat gun . Now the heat gun's cooled off. Those wires are on there nice and tight. Put a good wrap of this electrical tape around those fittings. Make sure I got everything all snug, like a bug in a rug. And that way I don't have to worry about anybody reaching up underneath there and getting a poke. Not that most people would. I mean, that's kind of out of the way. But about the time I reach up underneath there to grab a hold of something and get a poke, I'm going to be really unhappy. So we'll just prevent that possibility altogether. There, plug it in. Well, that's on. And that's off. Looks like the switch is working. I just got to tuck it back up in underneath here and stick it out that hole. When it's coming down like it's supposed to, which is nice, slow, and steady, that's just enough to turn it off. But when it bounces, you can take that right out. Down to the cut, it should just shut off like that. See? Clearance between the switch and the tab. So I was wondering about maybe making an arm out here that would come up and touch this. Because there's going to be days that I'm going to slip. Counting on not making a mistake. That's a sucker bet. So until I get that thing fixed, I'm going to have to be a little cautious. Because this blade has to drop down below that surface. If it doesn't drop down below the surface, it doesn't cut through. So having it cut through is important. Having that bracket bend is not good. Now when I got this tab was up so that it didn't hit the switch at all. It just wasn't gonna. And I thought, well, I wonder why they turned that off. I bet somebody thought it was gonna break that switch. Now, that might actually be the second switch. Who knows? But I want to have the automatic shut-off. I want to have it so when it finishes the cut, it finishes the cut. The thing should stop on its own. Shouldn't have to stand there and watch. Now, it just gets past the plate, then it shuts off. Lots of fiddling. There, that's good and snug. Okay, I think we got it. Well, it's tough, but the bandsaw is running. So let's see, so far, we've put a new handle on, rebuilt the vise, put new vise jaws on it, greased the gearbox, fixed the belt, readjusted the motor, changed the switch, unfortunately. What's next to do? Oh yeah, I was going to put wheels on this thing. All right, next thing's the wheels. Now that's perfect. That's what I wanted. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. And this is why I'm not driving across the yard with the tractor, because here in Michigan right now it's either mud, rain, or snow. Can't make a decision about anything.